It's not quite business as usual at the EU Parliament in Strasbourg this week. The Hounds of Ulster are providing a musical interlude from the impending UK-EU divorce talks. The band is from Northern Ireland, incidentally, a part of the UK that voted to stay in the EU. In the plenary hall, 11 days after Brexit, there are still angry outbursts and soul-searching among MEPs, and perhaps a bit of gloating from European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker.
I don't understand that the Brexit camp needs months before knowing what to do. I would have thought that they would have had a plan. Instead of developing a plan, they are leaving the boat.
Referring in part to one of the men who spearheaded the Brexit campaign, Nigel Farage, freshly resigned leader of his UKIP political party, still an MEP, adamant that Great Britain holds the trump cards.
They need us far more than we need them, with crucial elections coming up next year. I think common sense that comes from industry, from car makers, from French wine producers, counts for far more than what a few MEPs say, 11 or 12 days after Brexit, when they're in quite a grumpy mood.
Others seem less concerned with divorce proceedings than sounding the alarm for immediate EU reform or risk more exits.
More of the same will not get us out of this crisis, dear colleagues. That is burying our head in the sand. People want you to work on another Europe, and a Europe that delivers results. And by not doing that, and what you are doing is sleepwalking towards a disaster, towards 27 other referendums in the near future.
So what kind of reforms and changes? Well, there's been talk about a plan for creating more jobs, about bolstering the EU's external borders to stem the flow of illegal migration, things that will produce tangible results that the citizens of Europe can see. But at this plenary hall at the moment, that's more words than action. But there is some time for MEPs to enjoy a brief diversion. The UK won't be leaving the EU until a new Prime Minister is in place, and the EU says a reform plan is in the works, to be unveiled by autumn. Atika Schubert, CNN, Strasbourg, France.
A few people have asked me about my take on the recent vote for Britain to jettison itself out of the European Union. I'll keep this short and simple. The battle for Britain's independence hasn't even started yet. The process may take another 2 years, and if it does, then the chances of Britain actually succeeding is a long shot. Because the longer they draw this out, the harder it will be. Or should I say, the harder the satanic elite will make it for them to leave as they put pressure on the British pound in an effort to pound its value into nothing but flying dust. The power of the purse is the weapon of choice to be expected from the elite. Nevertheless, the Bible makes it very clear that there will eventually be a global government. But because of the apparent dysfunction of the European Union, many heathens have been having a field day using this as evidence that the world isn't headed towards further unification. And of course, there are some Christians who boast of the alleged lack of evidence in Scripture that this is prophesied to occur at some point. Apparently, I was mistaken when I made it clear enough in previous videos about the agenda of world unification under a single authority. I explained that one should not look forward to a world government anytime soon, as it doesn't actually come into fruition until well after Apollyon rises from the pit, rampaging through the world. Before his arrival, the Bible makes it very clear to me that the world will be united not necessarily under one system, but under 4 different systems the prophet Daniel refers to as beast kingdoms. One is a leopard, one is a bear, one is a lion, and the last is described as a beast with 10 horns on it. Keep in mind this simple observation that is all too overlooked by most Christians. In Revelation 6, it speaks of the 4 horsemen that is unleashed at some point on the 4th of the earth's nations. It starts with the white horse, which is tasked specifically not with war, but with conquering those nations. We know war isn't the primary means by which this will be done, as the bow the horseman carries has no arrow, indicating that it will be done mainly with the stroke of a pen, by legally binding treaties. We also know this because it is actually the second horse, the red horse, that is tasked with taking peace from the earth, and is given a sword to carry out this task. The third horse, the black horse, is tasked with flushing the world's economy down the toilet. And this one is interesting to me because it shows that there is a spirit behind everything, even your money. And last but not least, we have the fourth beast, which is basically tasked with causing a great deal of pain and discomfort on the fourth part of the earth with war, famine, and even wild animals. It is the fourth horse that is the evidence that this agenda of world unification doesn't actually occur until Apollyon's arrival, as the four horsemen are the precursors to the main event. This is important to understanding the difference in the way the beast kingdoms are described by the prophet Daniel versus how they are described by John in Revelation 13. Daniel describes the seven-headed ten-horned beasts as separate kingdoms that arise out of the sea, at which point the little horn, the Antichrist, comes out of the ten-horned beast, blaspheming God, while boasting, claiming to be God in the flesh. But by the time we get to Revelation 13, the four beasts are joined as one, as a seven-headed ten-horned beast. By this point, every nation, every tongue, and every tribe will be under the rule of the seven-headed ten-horned beast. So before Apollyon's arrival, only a fourth part of the earth will be united, not under one government, but under four different governments. Only then will it become clear as to who the seven heads are and who the 10 kings are.